Okay? Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody. We acknowledge the land upon which we work and live, the First Nations and their nations, and recognize their connection to the land, water, and community. We continue to learn, listen, and grow together. Saying that, I'll call the meeting to order and approval. Just waiting. Approval.
We're having audio issues
okay.
with our stream.
I think we're good now.
Good now? Okay. You want me to go over again, or are we all right? Okay. I have a resolution approval agenda. Go ahead. Shut the phone off here.
Be it hereby resolved that the agenda for the April 1st, 2026 regular meeting of council be adopted with the addition of items 9A2 and 16C.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Vanbury, second by Councillor Young. Any questions on that? All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary area interest? Not seeing any. And minutes from March 18th.
Be it hereby resolved that the minutes of the March 18th, 2026 regular meeting of council be adopted as printed and circulated.
Okay, can I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, any business arising from the minutes? Not seeing any, and we have a public meeting today. Go ahead.
There's your script there.
You want
And I will
do the
first
resolution?
do the resolution, yeah. Be it hereby resolved that council move into committee of adjustment at 4:02 p.m. and further that Mayor Peterson chair the public meeting.
Okay, could I get a mover and second, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Demers. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. I'll hold this up a little bit. I'm officially opening this public meeting, which is being held under the Planning Act for the purpose of hearing minor variance applications, allowing any person in attendance the opportunity to make a presentation to council. I would like to ask those in attendance that if they wish to receive notification of the committee's decision, they should sign the sheet on the shelf by the door at the rear of the room. I would like to advise those in attendance that the Ontario Land Tribunal has the power to dismiss an appeal if an appellant has not provided the committee with oral submissions at a public meeting or written submissions before a decision has been rendered by the committee. I will now ask committee members to state any disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. And I'm not seeing any. There's one application to be heard today, MVA 01-26 for Kim and Dave Piggott for a property located at 886280 Oxford Road 8. And Dustin, if you could present that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, members of council, staff, and those in attendance here today. The application in question concerns a 62.5-acre property just to the west of the village of Bright. Currently, the property is zoned A2 and A2-12. The property currently contains a 4,200 square foot home, a 6,400 square foot coverall building which is used for agricultural storage and is currently in agricultural production. Kevin, if we could go to plate 3, please. The proposal before you here today concerns the proposal of a detached ARU. As you can see on the screen in front of you, the proposal is for the ARU to be located south of the existing house, and there's 3 variances being requested. The first is simply to request the allowance of a detached ARU. The second variance is to increase the maximum size from 1,506 square feet to 1,565 square feet. And the third is a request to increase the maximum allowance between a principal dwelling and a detached ARU from 98.4 feet to 285 feet. The request for the increase in distance is due to a number of on-site challenges as put forth by the applicant, including some of the topography, the high water table, and private services are on site, which I'll let Mr. Piggott speak to later on. In terms of comments that were received as a result of the circulation to departments and agencies, County of Oxford Public Works did indicate they have no concerns with the ARU, but they also did indicate that it must be on a private well and it will not be permitted to be hooked up to the municipal system. And this has been added as a condition if council so wishes to approve the request. In terms of the circulation to members of the public, no comments were received. Staff have reviewed the application And we do note that the proposal is compliant with the official plan in a number of ways, including the fact that it uses the same driveway as the principal dwelling. It is compliant with minimum distance separation from surrounding livestock operations. And while we do acknowledge that the proposed size is slightly larger than what is permitted, we still feel that the size that is being proposed will ensure that it's still secondary to the main dwelling in terms of size. Where the proposal is not compliant focuses mostly on the distance from the dwelling. As I did indicate, it is being proposed to go from 98.4 feet to 285 feet. And part of the reason for that requirement in the official plan is to ensure that ARUs are being built inside the same cluster as the principal dwelling, and it's not removing, farmland unnecessarily. And it's also to help ensure that it's not impacting neighboring agricultural operations as well. And these similar concerns also exist within the zoning, which for the most part reiterates the OP's requirements. And, excuse me, and when you look to increase the distance between the principal dwelling and an ARU, really it's meant to be limited in situations where there really are no other alternatives. So as an example, if there was a situation where a floodplain existed within the 30 meters of the house, and there was just simply no way that the ARU could be located within 30 meters because of that floodplain would not allow for it, then perhaps we could look at a little bit of a further separation. And while I do acknowledge that there are challenges on the property for sure that the applicant will speak to, staff are still of the opinion that there does appear to be an option to the northeast of the existing single detached dwelling. So when we look at these situations, while it maybe wouldn't be the preferred option of applicants, or there might be some minor challenges, we still have to, really scrutinize these options further to say that they cannot absolutely work there. And in this situation, again, while maybe not the preference, staff are of the opinion that there still appears to be an opportunity to the northeast of this single detached dwelling that would be within 30 meters. So before you today is a recommendation of approving the detached ARU. We recommend approval of the size that's being presented as well. However, we do not recommend approval of the separation that's being presented, as it is quite a significant deviation from what's allowed in the zoning bylaw.
Okay, thank you for that. Does the applicant have any comments or anything to say concerning the application, the recommendations, or conditions outlined in the report? If you want to come up to the mic, please. And just state your name so everybody might know who you are, but people at home.
Good afternoon, everyone. So the biggest problem with this move is we're actually moving a house. We're not building a house. So it limits us to where we can locate it because of the size of the house and the equipment to move it. So Continental Movers out of London are the company we're going to use to move the house if we do. And they've looked at the site, and there's no way they can get their equipment and the house located on the northeast corner. There's about a 15-foot incline from the front of the street to where it has to go, and they can't get around the corner to come in the laneway on County Road 8 across from the fire hall. Their equipment in with the house and stuff, it just wouldn't work. So that's the major problem. And then there's the fact that about 30 mature trees would have to be cut down to locate it in there, which would change the thing as far as that goes too. So that's the main concern. The other location to the south is right off their laneway. It takes up minimal farmland. You can kind of see in the picture there, wasn't much planted there where the house would go anyhow. There would be a little further, it would go a little further to the south, so there'd be a bit of farmland taken out compared to what's planted there now. And it would be tucked in behind the trees there where it really wouldn't bother any neighbors or impact anybody else. In fact, I don't think anybody would even see it except maybe a couple houses off of Cuthbertson Street. So that's kind of the stand or that's the situation we're faced with. We just can't, if we're going to move the house in, we can't put it where the county would like us to put it. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any members of the committee that have any questions or comments on this at all? Anybody? Councillor Young.
Just a quick question, and maybe this is not as easy of an answer, but I'm just wondering if it was located at the bottom here where you're recommending, Dustin, would you know what the impact would be to the farm to the west of that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Young. In terms of existing operations, as I mentioned before, it is MDS compliant currently. A potential impact, and I've stressed its potential, is every time you add a new receptor in the agricultural area, it does possibly create some MDS issues in the future. So what it could mean is if there were any plans on the neighbor next door to say increase the livestock operation or build a new livestock operation, well, the location of that ARU will now need to be taken into consideration of where the barn could go. And the fact that it is, as you mentioned, a little bit further south, I mean, that's increasing the potential impacts of that property on its neighbor, where if you keep it close to the house, you're keeping the sensitive receptors close to one another. Again, I'll stress it's possible, but we can't say with certainty what the future holds for that property.
Anything else from council at all? Councillor Demmer.
With respect to, I guess, the cluster, then it would expand fairly significantly to, I think you said in your report, 2.9 acres?
Yeah, so through you, Mayor, to Councillor Demarest. So the cluster as it exists today already exceeds the 2 acres that generally these are supposed to be. Now, as Mr. Piggott indicated, the location that he's proposing, quite frankly, if you're going to go outside of the 30 meters, it's the best location to go. It would be a minimal increase in size to the cluster. It's taking out the smallest amount of farmland. And it's further away from the village of Bright. So if there's any compatibility issues with the residential properties, there's a nice distance between them. But there's no denying that if it were to go where it's proposed to, it would be increasing the cluster. I don't have the number right in front of me, but it wouldn't be a significant amount, but it would be increasing it. And we do need to identify that in the report.
Okay. Anything else from council? I know I had to go up that way today, so I actually drove up. I was a little familiar with the property, but I wanted to really take a look about seeing whether anything can go in that northeast. And I do have to agree with the applicant to get anything in there. It'd be almost impossible to move something in there. I did go right back to where the proposed location by the applicant is, and I would say and I know you're all looking at that big green spot between the house and the pond. Well, just to put you in, it doesn't really show here. I know it does on the topography map, but what it is the house is up high, so it's a swale that goes down like this to the pond. So I know you're probably looking at that big green spot going, why can't we put it there? But that's what it is. So I did go and take a look today, and I would say of all the places on the property, that probably makes the most common sense for location of it. I know it is farther away, but there's to get it in this other spot to the northeast and cut down, I don't know how many trees, a lot, because I actually went up there, but I think this is a better location. It just makes sense to put it in that location, and you can see where the trees come around like that. Well, you can see, like when I went up there today, you can see where the farm goes, like they can't get into that corner and come down. It's kind of taken off. So anyway, that's that. When I went there today, I would say that is the most appropriate location, even though it is outside the distance. But I think that's the only place that it really makes sense to put it. I don't know if council has anything else. Councillor Demers.
Yeah, just a question for Mr. Piggott. With respect to the trees, you mentioned that 16 trees would have to be cut down if you were to move the house in that area, or
Close to 30.
close to 30? Okay.
And I'm not even sure whether you could get down, because you can't bring it off of Road 8, like straight in either. You'd have to come up through that laneway, and I'm not even sure you could
It's not wide enough. The other thing is if we come down Cuthbertson Street with it, we'd have to run over the septic system, which is where that other green spot is there on the other side of the pond, to the right of the pond, so we would ruin the septic system.
Yeah.
That's the other problem, trying to get through there.
Kevin, can we go to plate 4, please?
You want me to rotate it?
You can see the septic system listed on plate 4 there in the stripe.
Yep. Anything else from council at all? Any other questions? Councillor Bambury.
Mr. Mayor, I would agree that it looks like there's only one really viable option for this situation, and that's the one that's presented, so I'm in favor of it.
Okay, go, Councillor Demers.
But you could build a house in that area. It's just because you're moving another house into that area that it poses challenges,
You could build a house there,
or an ARU.
Yep.
but you still have to cut all the trees down.
Yep.
Do any members of the committee have any other questions or comments on it? Councillor Bambury.
This house, through you, Mr. Mayor, this house you're moving, it's a house that's an older house or a small house, or is it a house that would be knocked down or destroyed otherwise, or?
So it's a 1,500 square foot bungalow in New Hamburg, and it's about 14 years old, and it's being moved because the development's being built there.
Okay,
So it's a fairly new house.
okay. Too good to destroy.
Yeah, it's too big to destroy for sure.
Yeah. Anything else from council? No? Okay, is there any persons from the audience who wishes to provide comments in support or opposition of this application? And if so, please state your name and address. No, not see any. Okay. Okay, is there a verbal motion from the committee to accept the application with the conditions noted or to deny the application? Councillor Bambury?
Move to accept it.
Okay. Can I get a seconder for that? Yep,
I just want to clarify
sure.
that we're accepting,
The location of where
oh,
the applicant
the
wants.
location.
That's what.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? Okay, all in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay. And the vote was 4-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the business before the committee has now been completed, and there is a written resolution for the committee to rise.
Be it hereby resolved that the committee rise at 4:18 PM and that the open meeting of council resumes.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, and we are in delegations, and our first delegation is Brian Petrie, the chair of the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, and welcome, Brian. And Brian is also the mayor of Ingersoll, so welcome to our council chambers. I know you've been here before.
Thank you very much for having me, and yeah, it's great to be in Blandford-Blenheim today. I was in Door earlier. Yeah, my name is Brian Petrie. I'm the current chair, hopefully not the last chair of UTRCA, but it is looking that way. What I'm doing is going around to all our member municipalities, and really the moral of this story is communication. There's a lot of changes that are happening. A lot of information is missing from that change, but the important thing is that we continue our communication through this change, and that that Upper Thames will still be there operating until they tell us not to be. So with that, go to the next slide. So there was the announcement on March 10th about the consolidation and what that'll look like, or amalgamation, and really that's been updated since to the legislation that came as part of the budget bill that's come out that's kind of dictate how that transition will happen. Other than that, there's been no major changes to that will affect what the provincial concerns were. So we're still waiting on seeing what will come next in that to address those. But certainly those were a number of the provincial concerns that led to that announcement. Again, as part of that announcement, there was some guiding principles that were put forward by the province. One of those is to retain local influence. However, the items that are included in the legislation would speak more to not including that local influence. And certainly, again, we'll see a lot of those changes, what that means come through future legislation and regulation as it happens. And we'll go to the next slide. Originally, what was proposed was 7, going from 36 to 7. It's now actually 35 to 8, and they're keeping 1 the same. So, we are now going to be part of, and I get that Blandford-Blenheim has a small piece of what's going to be the West Lake Erie Regional Conservation Authority, but also going to be part of the East Lake Erie Regional Conservation Authority as well with the grant. But so a lot of this will kind of pertain to both those organizations, but the consolidation is expected to take place by early 2027. So it's a tight timeline, right, especially after the election period. We were in the biggest area of change from the original proposal till now, and Blandford-Blenheim is right in the middle of it with the split, but it does match way closer to the source protection regions that we're a part of before. So, so what does it mean for UTRCA? Well, UTRCA is now going to be a part of, again, the Western Lake Erie Regional Conservation Authority, and that includes Essex, Lower Thames, St. Clair, and Upper Thames. Besides Essex, they were all part of the 10th Sydenham Source Protection Committee, so, and then Essex has their own, so that's kind of the borders there. The good news is that UTRCA has an excellent working relationship with those organizations already, and they're, of course, always talking, the chairs are talking about what does this mean. So the biggest change you're going to see, and Oxford County is a little bit unique in this because we kind of do things differently than a lot of municipalities already, which is normal for Oxford County. But the biggest thing you're going to see is in the governance side of things. And so the province is still saying they are going to be municipally governed, but really who's going to be doing that is what's going to be changing. It's going to be upper tiers and single tier municipalities only. So right now, Oxford County does pay the levy that's involved there, but you have local representation. And Scotty Zaire from East Shore Tavistock is your local rep. He was just, well, his own council meeting today. So, so I will say that that's the biggest concern we have. You know, we've tried very hard on the board to have rural and urban representation, so we can get that. And really, that's what's going to biggest concern going out there is that you're going to lose that local voice and that local knowledge. That's very important when we in the policy making part of it. The other thing is that the timing is October 26 municipal elections, so the newly elected upper tier councils will appoint to the first members of the new regional board. My guess is that Oxford County will get 1, if we're lucky. Well, we'll get 1 for sure, but we'll get 1. And that would be 1 probably for East and 1 for West. The concern in that is that a lot of, whereas again, Oxford County is unique, but a lot of places, I'll give Lambton County, they've had no experience with conservation authorities at that level. It's all done at lower tier. And so getting people at the upper tier with knowledge of conservation authorities to serve on those boards is going to be a challenge, and I hope that's not the plan and why they're doing that. You can see in WILERC, it's not a good acronym, but that's what we got. You have 7 upper tier counties representing 39 municipalities, including 6 single tier. That was down from 81 in the original plan, so it is better that way. But there's representation by population, but there's some discrepancies there. So you have Peely Township with a total of 235 people who will have a representation on the board. They're guaranteed 1 spot, as is St. Mary's, because they are single tier. But you won't see, Oxford will have probably the same level as that, and you won't see Sarnia or anything because they're on Lambton County. So there's going to be a lot of questions about how that representation will pan out and whether it's fair or not. Next slide. So this was originally done for a single tier municipality, but really Oxford is kind of operating under that model more so than the regular county model. So We are going to continue to have representation on the new board. It's going to be a different board. It's going to be less representation. It's not going to be local. The type of, the province made a big deal in the last round where they changed it had to be elected. Now they're going back on that. They can kind of be anybody. In fact, they're asking for some skills base, but what that is will be defined in regulation. And really, it's really about that influence is really being diluted throughout. And again, that is a huge concern, is that rural voice being lost. A lot of the work that conservation authorities do has a rural lens to it, and that's very important to have that at the table. The next one. The governance impact is, that's the biggest thing. These conservation authorities were started by municipalities in cooperation, and really they're the ones who have funded these. There's a lot of reserves and stuff that we've all contributed to that we want to make sure are kept for local purposes. They set the local service requirements, and that's going to be eroded, but that's very similar to what municipalities do, and so that may be a bigger concern about if these are being amalgamated. I won't say attacked, amalgamated, because they're not meeting what the province wants them to do. That could be something that could transfer very easily to municipalities. And certainly we're going to have a risk of losing that local voices. Well, your local voice is gone. They have instituted something called the Watershed Council. Every regional one will have at least one, but I guess there'll probably be way more than that. The problem is that that hasn't been defined about what they are, but in the food chain of decision making, the province has made a Ontario Conservation Agency, which is going to be the policy direction. And in the legislation that was released prior to the changes, it lists 10 things that they're responsible for, and they're pretty comprehensive about control, about finances and the direction, and aligning with provincial objectives. So then you have the regional board, and so where does that local input? It's only input. My guess is that's going to get drowned out when it comes to actual decision making. The province is going to win on that one. So we'll go to you then. Next one, please. The watershed, so we're going to have at least one, but again, the issue is really there. It's not a decision-making body whatsoever. It is input, and so really the governance portion of the conservation authorities that we all pay for. I have a nice brochure on my desk that I just got in the mail today from 1971 where the province was paying 75%. They're now down to about 2%, but they're getting 100% of the control in this. So it's a big issue about who should be actually paying for these at this point if they want to have that issue. So we'll go to the next slide. This is the slide that was included in the government's announcement on March 10th. You can see spring 2027 is not that far away, especially with elections going on. This is a tight time frame, and what I'll say is there's a lot of questions and not a lot of information at this point. So be prepared for a fire hose of information, and that's why we want to keep the communications going so we can try to communicate that as much as possible. If you have questions back and forth, to make sure that we are there to answer them and try to make this as smooth as possible, but there's a lot of things to happen. The agency hasn't been fully formed. They haven't appointed board members. They haven't made policies that have to be directed and made timelines down the line. So there's a lot of work to do. And we'll see how that goes in a short period of time. Again, the 2027 budget process is a little bit different. Again, Oxford County is a little unique because Oxford County pays the bill already, but lower tiers, we've been directed that the current authority will have to pass a budget before December 31st, 2026, and that will be sent to the current ratepayers, the lower tier, the upper tier, whoever pays that bill now, but they will not appoint board members. The upper tier will appoint board members, but they won't have to pay that year. So you still get the bill. But again, in Oxford's case, we send that bill to Oxford, so it's a little bit isolated that way. But in Middlesex County just had a report that could add 2.2% to their budget just overnight when they have to take that on. So. And then the province has allocated $20 million to create the provincial agency, and then they were nice enough to establish $3 million fund annually going forward to help the transition, but that works out to about $330,000 per authority. So with transition costs and all the work that it has to do, my guess is that that's going to get further downloaded and passed on to the municipalities. They, again, froze the fees, so there's no way to recover that. And there's been no real other offer of money going forward. The economic impacts and concerns, again, lots of questions about what is going to come, but we just don't know. Again, the legislation that came out was really about the transition process, really nothing about meeting those goals and what that's going to look like going forward. But again, there'll be a lot of work to go through that and see what is actually the real goal in the first year. My guess is that, if I had to guess, is that really that first transition piece is to get the regional governance structure in place, and then you'll probably see the four or the current conservation authorities operated independently underneath that umbrella until they can start to move forward. There's a lot of moving pieces. There's 3 different flood standards. There's one has a union, others don't. So there's a lot of technical pieces that have to be to try to get that clarity there. There was 14,000 submissions on the ERO posting. The government's synopsis of those does not match up what an AI synopsis says, and so there's a number of things that were, when they were correlated, the number of concerns there that haven't been addressed at this time, but we'll wait for the government to provide answers and direction on those. But the good news is that UTRCA and Grand River, for that matter, they're going to keep going and providing the service that that they do now, and we know that people are relying on that service to continue, and that's the plan. Certainly, I don't see that changing. The government has stated that they want continuity in service level, and so that's something that we have great staff at all conservation authorities that do great work. Sometimes hard work, I have to tell people no, but same time, that is going to continue, and that's our plan as a board as well, is to make sure that we put the resources in place to make sure that happens. We'll keep the lights on, and we'll comply with what is asked of us to do. But with that, I'm certainly open to any questions that I can answer. But again, lots of information needed to come.
Yeah, thank you very much for that report. Any questions from anybody here? Councillor Banbury.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I represent Oxford County on the Grand River Conservation Authority. I would like to get your opinion as to what the motivation was by the province to move in this direction in the first place.
Well, I remember that I'm on camera.
I know, that's why I wish we were in closed session.
Well, no, I'll be frank that I don't see whether the problem is that they haven't defined what the problem is for us to solve. And I think in 2019 they came out with a number of items, and the conservation authorities were very good at complying with those. I did think that one of the great things that did come out of that in the end was the representation by elected officials. It helped a lot more people understand what conservation authorities do. But that was never part of this. I am not a fan of them saying they consulted and this is what they heard, because we got stuck in a room, we got to listen to a presentation, and that was about the extent of the consultation. There was 14,000 submissions that don't align with what that is, and the legislation that's out there now does not address the concerns. And the concerns that they have could have been addressed in a number of ways, including proper funding or staff levels at MECP and such.
Do you feel the logistics of making this change are going to be mind-boggling?
Yes. Yes, you have very complex, like we're celebrating our 80th anniversary at UTRCA. So these are complex organizations that will be giving a number of tasks to do, mostly from the province, that are provincial responsibilities. There's a number of documents that haven't been updated by the province that should be. And so these are not easy organizations to amalgamate, similar to school boards and similar to health units. You have a lot of history there that, and provided the service level that the residents in that area had requested and paid for.
I know both the GRCA and the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority are fairly large watersheds, especially the Grand River. And it takes in a tremendous area. And I find it overwhelming. I don't know how many members are on the UTRCA, but we have 26 on our board come in from the whole region, and it's a little unwieldy. I mean, we get along well together and we come up with proper decisions, but to enlarge that to an even larger area, I just don't see how it's going to work. It's going to water down the service that areas get. And like you mentioned, the local representation is not going to be there.
No, that's the great thing with municipalities, and I think Oxford's a great example where you have the stuff at the regional level that makes sense, but you have Blandford-Blenheim can be Blandford-Blenheim, Ingersoll can be Ingersoll. I think that's the same thing with conservation authorities. You provide the service level that was required. Regardless of the rhetoric of the day, this is the legislation what the agency is going to do, and it is full control over every single action of a conservation authority to what the province's the provincial objectives are, not local objectives. So there's no accountability to the local level besides, as far as I'm concerned, it's loss of governance and really just an administrative and a bill-paying exercise of we get the bill for something, and I think that's what we're hearing across. There's a meeting at April 8th with Minister Flack to talk to all the watershed mayors, and that's a common thread, is that if this is a provincial item that you really want to take over, then they should probably have the bill as well.
Yep, for sure. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, do you think this is going to have an impact on the regulatory feature of the conservation authorities?
At this time, it doesn't appear to, but the ability to, again, with not knowing the full extent of constant change, my guess is that the message has been that conservation authorities have held up development. That is not the role of conservation authorities. Conservation is the wise use of land. It comes from, we have development, the Planning Act is from a position of yes with conditions to make sure it's safe. Conservation Authorities Act is a no with exceptions if you can prove it. So it's a totally different mindset, but it is not in the business of approving housing. It's about the wise use of land and that erosion and keeping people safe from flooding, which they've done an amazing job of over the years, which is maybe why they're being looked at as, sometimes when things don't happen, you kind of understand what mistaken why that is. So I think that you're going to have a lot of concerns about competing interest just by what they've been tasked with, and what they do now is competing interest on those sides, for sure.
Go ahead.
Just one more question. The GRCA, they're taking a constructive approach with the government on working with the government, trying to influence the government. If this is going to happen, it's got to happen in the best possible way so that everybody benefits. But I don't know whether everyone will or not. I just wondered what your authority, what is your approach? Are you taking a constructive approach, or?
Well, we certainly have tried, but we're not. The problem is we're not seeing an active ear there to be able to, from what all the consultation or the input that we've had. There's been no engagement with that. So I think my interpretation would be compliance, but not assistance, because they haven't asked for the assistance or been interested in any assistance that we've offered. So certainly we'll comply, but at this point we are waiting. I'll be very honest, if the government wants to treat us like 2-year-olds, we can be 2-year-olds, and we'll just wait for our parents to tell us what to do.
Go ahead, Councilor.
Through you, Mayor. Have you had any conversations with the government regarding this change? Have you met with any of the ministers or anyone to? I know our CAO and chair have.
We've been trying actively to meet with various ministers to not to any avail. But we are meeting with Minister Flack again on Wednesday. On April 8th to make sure that he was gracious enough to offer that through the London City Mayor. Josh Morgan was able to organize that. And so that is a good thing. Again, we're not against change, but again, it's getting to the point where what is the point? And we have people, a lot of great employees and staff that are highly trained, and we don't want to lose those. And we're seeing, not specifically in our area, but we know in others that people are looking for other, and that damage that can be done is not going to be easily solved. So we want to try to maintain the great people that are there, and again, do this as smoothly as possible, but without information and clear guidance, it's kind of really hard to, I know we always do. The staff are great, but it's their timelines, and it's getting, the clock's ticking.
What bothers me a little bit is the quickness of this.
Yeah.
It's taken decades to establish these conservation authorities, and with one fell swoop, they're changing everything. And I don't know whether, I don't really think it's going to be for the better, but anyway, that's my comment.
Yeah. The one thing that I guess bothers me more than anything, and it seems to be very continue with everything that comes out of there, you look at our development charges, things that just come out, is it seems like they have a plan, but they don't know what the plan is yet. And that's the hard part about this whole thing. I think at one time, didn't they want the west and the eastern all as one great big area? And I was at least glad to see that it was split from them. I think the Eastern Lake region, is it not the same as the GRC is right now? Or is there added into there at all? It's pretty close to the same, isn't it?
Sorry, the Eastern Lake.
So where the East Lake region is now, is it not but where the GRCA is right now? Like, it hasn't changed a whole lot, I don't think, has it? Like what they're proposing?
The lines of conservation authorities themselves haven't changed.
Yeah.
It's just they're incorporating them into larger
areas. You know, the whole part that and I'll be maybe a little more frank than you were, because I'm not the chair, but of yours, but this definitely isn't a money-saving thing, because there's no way they're saving money. If anything, it's going to cost a pile more money. I mean, they're putting 20 million into it alone. And my biggest concern is wanting them having more control over where growth goes. And I'm really worried that in some of our watershed areas that are well protected, or green areas, green belts, wherever, that they're trying to get the control to build whatever, develop whatever in those areas. And that is a very big concern of mine, that some of that area that is well protected is going to just disappear, and not being able to have the say to stop it. That's the problem. I really that's what I worry about this whole process. That's what's behind this process.
There is a general trend. Saw it attempt in Niagara, as well as to eliminate the number of elected officials that have a say, and really that comes down to local. And that the threat is that as you consolidate that control in a small number of people, the provincial system is a system run off donations and influence, and it's not something that we see at this level. And I can't stress enough, as Councillor Banbury here is a great example of that local knowledge that can be not only transferred up but down as well, from the conservation authorities to local councils. And as a whole, maybe I'm a little bit the other way. I think there's more room for local input than the other way. It's better decision making. You certainly know, everybody around this table certainly knows Blandford-Blenheim and the different areas that it is way better than myself. I certainly know nothing about Windsor, and that's the kind of we're talking about, the change that we're talking about. And so not having that local voice in any area, we've seen it in school boards, we've seen it in health units. Local decisions are better decisions, and I think we're all probably fans of that.
Yeah. And you know, the other part too, with it going to the upper tier, if you think of where the zones are, so as mayor of Blandford-Blenheim, technically I could be the representation for the Upper Thames, or whatever you want to call it now, Western Lake Erie. So I could be the representative, knowing that really there's only about the size of this lot here is in Blandford-Blenheim, and on the other way, you could have the mayor of Tillsonburg as a county councillor there, be the representation for the Eastern Lake Erie, when they'd have nothing in that area. So it's kind of like, it's really kind of, you know, there could be some expertise there because they were on other boards, but not even in that zone. So it's kind of the representation part kind of bothers me a little bit, that it could happen. You know, when it comes to the striking committee, it could be just one person put in for it, right? And it could be somebody not even from that knows nothing in that area, know nothing about it. So I'm a little worried about that representation part of it. Be nice to see at least a couple from each. And like you said, you know, you look at the size of our area in there for Oxford County, and we could have one representation as somebody who has 200 people. So it's kind of frustrating going forward. And that's the part that bugs me most about this, is I wish they would have that plan first and present it, rather than just, here it is, and
Or just
wait.
ask, here's the problem that we're having, how can you solve it?
How can you make it better?
Municipalities or conservation authorities,
Yeah.
excellent local input knowledge to be able to solve problems that meet the requirements both of the province and the local, but that's not the case. It seems to be a lot of, here's what's happening, and thank you for the input, but we're not interested.
Yeah, I know I met in London with, a lot of the mayors were there, and some of the chair and everything. We met at London City Hall to discuss what was going forward, and you could really feel the frustration in the room. Everybody's asking questions, but nobody can answer a question because they don't know what's coming down the pipe. And it was really frustrating for everybody in the group to you're asking a question and nobody can answer it. Everybody's given hypotheticals, but nobody could answer any questions in the room that was going forward, and it's already presented. Go ahead, Councillor Bambury.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Are you surprised there hasn't been more pushback? I know there's been tremendous amount of pushback by the conservation authorities and a lot of municipalities. You've probably received copies of all of it. Like when they tried to invade the green belt, there seemed to be all sorts of public pushback, but it seems like with the conservation authorities, there's not that same maybe public pushback as.
I think there was a lot of pushback. I would say that 14,000 submissions, all of them, I couldn't find one that was in favor of it. So I think, but the government seemed to be, and rightfully so, they are the ones that are allowed to make legislation. They doesn't have to make a good decision. They seem to be committed to this, if not more. And so they've decided this is the route they want to go down. Unfortunately, they're not the ones that have to do the work and live with the consequences. We are still going to get, our residents are still going to get a bill for this, and I can't say to anybody this is going to lead to a higher level of service from what I've seen so far. Certainly not.
There's got to be a huge disruption in staffing and all the, like I mentioned, all the logistics are going to be.
I can give you a perfect example. We tried to work with our partners. It hasn't been always the case at UTRCA, but we're trying to work with the development community. We knew that our planning and regs department was not as efficient as it could be. We got a report from a company called Blackline. If you ever want to see probably one of the best reports on I've ever read, I can surely send that to you. It was a hard, but it was fair about how we can make that department better. We had full agreement with staff that they wanted to move forward with this. Unfortunately, with the changes, that was money wasted, and there's no sense implementing that because a lot of it is software based, and so we could provide a higher level of service right now, but we can't because of what's taking place. The province is talking about having centralized permitting. They're talking about having all these centralized services to make it, but when and how that's going to happen. We're waiting on a lot of red tape and updates throughout the municipal and the conservation area world to be able to have that happen already, and we certainly haven't seen that move in any sort of timely manner.
I know when I first heard that they were separating the east and the western lake into two sections, my first thought of it is great. That is good news that they're going to make it smaller. But my other thought afterwards was that was their plan all along, and they made this great big area and had everybody complain and said, "Yeah, we listened to you. Let's split it into two sections." That's just my personal opinion. I think that was a plan all along if they complained enough, because that would have been a massive area. Like the travel time from Windsor all the way up to wherever, like for a meeting, you can imagine the logistics of it alone.
And I would say that, to be honest, the changing of the boundaries is a little bit of a red herring because the legislation came out at the same time was that to create the agency and change where the governance happened, everybody was focusing on the boundaries. That legislation, the policy part is gone. We do not have policy-making ability at the local level anymore. That has completely been taken away already. And so the damage is done. Regardless of what they look like, they could have been the same boundaries. You are now not being locally governed. You're not being making decisions at that level. It is coming from central command. and it must be complied with in the time frames that they dictate, and if it's not, they will do it. So there is not a lot of room for wiggle room. Even with the transition plans, you have to make a transition plan. They are appointing the person who's going to be the project executive and will turn into the regional conservation CAO for the first 2 years. So they are appointing that position. You have to put a transition plan in. They have to approve it or amend it as they like. So everything that's happening is the province is going to dictate how this happens, and you probably aren't going to have a lot of input on it. But I'll leave it there. I don't want to take up your whole day.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else from council? No? Thank you very much, Brian. Great information for all the council to read. It was I know we've all been looking at this for a little while, but it was actually a really good read just to know what's going on going forward. So thank you very much
We'll make
for
sure
coming
we
up.
keep sharing information as we get
Absolutely.
it and keep you informed as changes coming through, because there's going to be a lot.
And fast.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Have a
much.
great evening.
Okay.
Resolution to receive as
Yep.
information.
Sure.
Be it hereby resolved that the presentation from Mayor Brian Petrie, Chair of the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, regarding a presentation on the province's Conservation Authority consolidation announcement be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and our second delegation is Meredith Maywood, our tourism manager from Oxford County. Welcome, Meredith.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to provide an update on the activities in 2025 for tourism and what we have planned in 2026. So the importance of tourism is something I do want to touch on first. When you look at tourism, it touches so much of our communities. And when you look at tourism, it's primarily small and medium-sized enterprises. They are the ones that keep the tourism engine going. And when we have tourism in a community, it provides a new source of income for those businesses. So, for example, you have a farm, but now it's an agritourism attraction. They have 2 lines of income coming in. It also generates civic pride in the community, and it actually provides economic spin-off of our cultural and natural resources. So it's a huge benefit to our communities, and we're excited to work in that area. And then also I wanted to touch on tourism trends. So every year we go online and we're looking at what the trends that are happening. So for example, we go onto Skyscanner and we see, what people are looking for this year. So for instance, books are quite popular actually. But it's also people that are wanting connection. They're wanting to slow down. They want to do things. When you look at the Destination Canada data, it has profiles of all the different Canadian interests when traveling, things that are unique, novel, fun, time with family. And once again, through that data, people are looking at the sustainability of their travel. They're wanting to ensure that they're having a positive impact on the communities they visit, whether that be on the local economy by supporting local businesses, on the social aspects of the community and the environment. And I also have some data which I'm always excited to share. We have data partnerships with Ontario Southwest, and this data is for trips to Oxford County that were overnight in 2025 versus 2024, and we have numbers for both Canadian and US. And you can see that the Canadian numbers, it's up 15%. So when I was out and touring around last year visiting municipalities, I had plenty of questions of where we thought tourism would go, and I wasn't quite certain. We were all watching it a little nervous at that time, but we can see that we had an increase in Canadian visitors. And I was on a call with someone in the industry today, and they're feeling like, once again, we're probably going to have a lot of Canadian and local visitors, and people also using alternative methods of travel, such as taking the train. So when we talk about products in Oxford County, the first and primary product is Tour Oxford, which is our primary brand. That basically leans into the strengths of Oxford County. that we have a lot of unique locations that people can visit that are not too far apart. And within that, we have the Your Next Stop program, which is 6 different routes across Oxford County that encourage people to visit places in close proximity to each other. So it minimizes your drive time while increasing your fun and the ability to visit more locations. We also have within there our cycling product, which includes paved and gravel roads. And as you know, in this township, the Paris to Ancaster loves your gravel roads. And they come through every year with their large race.
They're the only ones. Sorry, Jim.
I've seen some very cute things along those roads, from a little duck walking along with a dandelion in its mouth chasing his mom to, yeah, just some beautiful scenery. Then also, we have our 5-year plan for tourism. So with that, we're wanting a vibrant tourism destination that contributes to our economic, social, and environmental well-being in the community. And with that, we work in 3 realms. We work in the area of management of tourism, so that's ensuring tourism's growing in a way that supports the community's needs and supports the businesses as well. But it's a positive impact on the community. Then also product development is where we're supporting businesses, community organizations that are developing new tourism product. And then the 3rd realm is in the area of marketing, and those are the updates I'm going to give today. So if we start off looking at the management, last year was an exciting year that we had wrapped up the Tourism Growth Program, which was a FedDev program for funding. And that program has now wrapped up. That included finishing the launch of the Your Next Stop route. And then also we launched a brand new Tourism Oxford website and an extranet, which is the website that allows the businesses to access and update their own information on tourismoxford.ca. And that website has also not only improved customer service for the businesses, it's improved customer service for the visitors. So they can go on now and they can filter listings down. They can search better by geography. Every municipality has a landing page for their area that shows events that are happening, businesses that you can visit, attractions and activities. When we look at product development, it was a very exciting year. As mentioned, Your Next Stop was wrapped up. And we also offered training opportunities for businesses, and we had over 300 come out, and we offered several trips that we call hospitality hops that encourage people in the industry to go out and see local attractions. And one of the places we went was Snyder's Family Farm for a night actually in Fear Farms. So those that came got a bit of a scare, which was great. And then when it comes to marketing, last year was a very exciting year. We had over 7 million in impressions. That's the number of people seeing our ads. But also we launched a new program that is a visiting friends and family program. So we're talking to local residents, we're encouraging civic pride, and we're wanting them to think about taking people out locally when they come to visit. So we took our Tour Oxford logo, added a different color to say this is our Oxford, and then had taglines specifically speaking to local residents, and that was an exciting program that we launched. And then we also did our surveys for the first time. And with this, we did 3 surveys, one for businesses, one for visitors, and one for residents. And with these, we were looking for information on how the tourism industry is for the businesses, what's their level of satisfaction with service, and finding out for visitors as well, similar data. So we're very excited to see that businesses actually provide a high rating for our services, but more so we love seeing that they're actually fulfilling a need that the customers are looking for. They're interested and they want to provide a welcoming environment for all. And that's what consumers are looking for. They are supporting local cultural organizations in promoting what they're doing. And then also they're supporting the environment through their locations. And these are all things that really resonate with the visitors that are coming out wanting to support these communities and be a positive impact on the community. And when we look at the visitor data, we had some insights into the most popular times of year, and obviously the numbers don't necessarily add up in the sense that you would see high percentages for several months. That's because people come back multiple times. And then the data is showing us that as well, that people are coming back for repeat visits and they're recommending the area also to their friends. And then the results for the visitor tour, or sorry, for the residents. We were very excited by the numbers we were getting for this alone and the number of residents that wanted to provide feedback. It was over 230 residents that gave feedback for this section. Once again, they're very proud of where they live, and also they're recommending the area to visitors, to their family that come to visit. So in 2026 for the business plan, we've got several activities going on. First of all, we're working with archives to support genealogy tourism in the area. So how can we provide a landing page that allows people that are coming for genealogy to access locations, like finding out where the cemeteries are, the schools, where they can go and do research. Then also we're continuing to work on sustainability, and within that, we're looking at developing our relationships with more organizations. So for instance, recently I had a meeting about food security, and it's like we work with a lot of businesses in agriculture and restaurants, hospitality. So what information can we share with them if they're looking for opportunities to support those activities? And then also we're launching Handmade, and the next slide provides a bit more detail about that. So Handmade Routes is a brand new product we're developing. I'm very excited. This is a new cultural product or trail for Oxford County that we're launching. We've actually been working and gathering data for a year, and now we're in the midst of our final planning meetings, hoping to launch this product for September. What Handcrafted Routes is, it is a product that celebrates the handcrafted and visual arts. So if someone's making something with clay, if they're working with paper, wood, metal, quilting, fiber arts, etc. And for the people to come out, it's people that are curious to learn about these. Maybe it's a historical aspect, going to a museum that has a beautiful collection. They could be going and purchasing art or seeing it at a gallery. They could be buying supplies because they're makers themselves. So there's a wide variety of audiences for these this product. And it's also an opportunity for people that are curious to try their hand at it for the first time, or come to a retreat in the area, because we have several already happening where people are coming for, say, quilting retreats in Oxford County. And we hope to see more of that grow in the future. And we hope to see this to grow further to also bring in culinary and other maker-based activities. So that's an update for this year, just to provide a reminder that we love collaborating and we do have resources available. So for instance, we buy into partnerships for data, so we're always happy to provide some insights into those visitor numbers for the area. We also do photography on occasion, so if we know something new that's coming up that would make a stunning photo, we try to get that into our catalog for the year. And we also really appreciate everything that you do as a municipality to make your community vibrant, because we know it benefits the residents, but just to remind you, it also benefits having visitors come to the area. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions from council at all? I know I've been reading a little bit of a list here, and the one thing anybody who knows me, I'm extremely proud of Blandford-Blenheim Township. I've grown up here my whole life, and that's one reason why I got into politics, because I want things to be better in our township. So I'm always really excited when, especially with tourism, and I was just trying to write down a list of, and two that come right off the top were Schneider's Family Farm and Utterly Ridiculous. And I was trying to think back if there was one year in the last, I don't know how many years, probably the last 6 or 7 anyway, that there wasn't at least one business or attraction in Blandford-Blenheim that wasn't nominated for an award. And I'm not sure if there's one year. There might have been there, but I'm not sure if there was even one year that they weren't at least nominated, and most of the years they have won an award. I know both Utterly Ridiculous and Schneider's Family Farm have won multiple times, I believe. I know coming up in, I think it's next month, I think Councillor Young and myself, we're going to the ribbon cutting ceremony. I can't remember what it's called, the Tower of the Goat or the Goat of the Tower or something that's at Utterly Ridiculous. I'm really curious to see what a 20-some foot tower is going to be with goats on it. I'm not really sure, but they're unique ideas they have there with you bring your old wedding dress, and they have parties at it. They have some very, very outside-the-box things there that are really well-attended. Schneider's Family Farm, same thing. I didn't know this, but I believe I'm correct on this, but it's the largest tourist attraction in Oxford County. I believe somebody told me that. I don't know, it might have been yourself, that it was the most people go there. So I'm extremely excited about that. And there's another one that's never been nominated. I'm not really sure why. And I know Councillor Demers and I have been there several times, and I think some of the others here as well, is the Walters Family Farm that's here. Another unique experience that's absolutely fantastic. There's another one, Canny Perennials was another one that I think is a tourist attraction here if you're a flower person. So the one thing, when you were mentioning about places to go in the township, how do you, like, I can think of some people that do pottery, or when you mentioned that, or genealogical. I know my sister's does that all the time. Museums, we have 3 here. So I was just, how do you go about getting the information per se for Blandford-Blenheim, for example? Just kind of curious how you find that information.
We're very curious people.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so actually, we just had a media release go out yesterday about Handcrafted, because we know our web doesn't go out to everything that's happening in the community, and there's some really interesting stories there. So we actually put a call out with a sign up on our website, asking anybody that's involved in the handmade arts to sign up so we can keep in communication through developing this product, and we can talk about how they could be involved. So, like, obviously, we can't be sending tourists to someone's home, but if they work with a local arts community or they work with a local store that has vendor space, we can be directing people to those locations. So we hope to get the feedback and to keep people involved and learn more about that program. And then also for businesses, like in general, tourism businesses, we have an online form now on the website. People can submit their own events, and the Plattsville Museum does it all the time. And I know they've got a big celebration coming up this year in Plattsville, and that's going to be on the website as well, or it is on the website. So they can submit their events, and they can submit their business. So I am so sorry, I thought I put that on silent.
No
I'm
worries.
taking plenty of pictures.
No worries.
But yes, so there's plenty of opportunity for people to engage with us. And with our team, we also offer support with product development. So if people are wondering what tourists are looking for, how to be ready for tourists coming to your business, we're here to provide that support. And then, of course, we refer to Rural Oxford, who is our innovation grant partner, and Small Business Center and other organizations to also provide that support when it's needed.
Yeah. I'm always very excited about supporting local. And one thing, I know council's heard this before, but one thing, if any of the public's watching, but Schneider's Family Farm is actually our largest employer in our whole township, which a lot of people would never, I would have been the last place if I probably asked somebody at the restaurant, where is it? I would bet everybody would not know that, but they actually are. So I don't know if council has anything else. I know I know for me, I'm always excited about things in Blandford-Blenheim, so go ahead, Councillor
Calm
Demers.
down.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. I always look forward to your presentations. It's because you're doing a lot of fun things. One of the things I always wonder about, there's this cohesion between local businesses and Tourism Oxford. If you could have more of something, of some kind of business, do you ever wish, boy, I wish we had more businesses that did this? Or there's a certain area that might not be being addressed in Oxford County? Because I would think that gaps evolve.
Yes.
Yes. Is there anything that's sort of happening right now that you sort of wish or you hope will evolve?
So it would probably be by geography where we look at where there might be gaps. Transportation is always one that comes to mind, so for people to get out to our rural areas. And, we're working to try to build relationships to support that as well. But honestly, the township of Blandford-Blenheim has exploded over probably the last 7 years with tourism opportunity. It's like, you know, with the businesses you've mentioned, there is a lot going on in this township that we're incredibly excited to share through the Cheese Trail, through the Your Next Stop. We have a rural ramble through the community. There's a lot happening here that we're so grateful for.
I'm excited about the handcrafted initiative that you have on as well. I always think to myself when I go to the Drumble Fair, for example, there's just endless amounts of amazing work that happens in our, just, you know, within a very short distance of this location. And I've always thought, wow, you know, how can we better bring this together and bring this out? Like, a lot of people do it for their own enjoyment or for family and friends, but just as many are, you know, have their small businesses out of their house or whatever, but what can we do for them to, you know, bring it to the forefront? So I'm really, I'm also getting excited as the mayor is, to bring that out a little bit more. I think that we're seeing that in a lot of the rural communities, and there's some interesting things that I think are happening.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing how many, when you're out at different functions, of course, I'll talk to anybody anywhere, so I always ask them where they're from, and I'm absolutely shocked at how many people even come from the Greater Toronto area. I know it's heavy here from the Kitchener-Waterloo area, but it's amazing how many people even come here from Toronto. I think I mentioned, I don't know if it was here a week ago, but or whether it was at the Lions Club, I talked about how even our park here in Drumble, we have people that come from Milton to come to our park because it's got all the amenities they need, and they don't have, you know, 1,000 people on a splash pad. They can just come here and do their thing, and they don't have to worry about it. So it was kind of amazing. Like I say, I'm very proud of our area. And if there's anything, I know we do anyway, but now we have our communication person back here, over here, Kevin. He will more than gladly put anything at all on our social media site, and actually I encourage you to, anything you have, to put it through to Kevin, and we will share it, and then usually one of us or all of us will share it through all our local social media sites as well, and it goes right across. So that's the best, my suggestion, that's the best advertising you can get through the social media sites. Some good, some not so good sometimes, but most of the time for something like this, it'll be really good news. So unless there's anything else from council at all, thank you very much for coming. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the presentation from Meredith Maywood, Tourism Manager, Oxford County, regarding the 2026 Tourism Oxford Update be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Barnes. Any comments? I think we've done lots. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and we have correspondence specific. If you want to go ahead with that one. Township of Oro de Monte.
Be it hereby resolved that the Council of the Township of Blandford-Blenheim receive and support the resolution from the Township of Oro-Mendonte regarding the request for provincial legislation amendments, health and safety concerns, and further, that Council direct staff to prepare a letter to the Honourable David Piccini, Minister of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development regarding the Township of Blandford-Blenheim's support of the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors' call for legislative amendments.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Anybody want to comment on that at all? Councillor Demers.
Yeah, I think I asked for this item to be included on our agenda, really just to shine a light on the work that AORS is doing and in encouraging the Ministry of Labour to work towards safer work environments, especially for our roads workers. It's been quite shocking over the last few years, the number of incidents we hear about of some of the workers being yelled at, things being thrown at them. I probably hear more than most because I have a spouse that works on the roads. Just anecdotes about, one of his co-workers being clipped by a car that was speeding by while they're in a construction zone. It seems to have escalated, these incidents have seemed to have escalated a lot over the last few years, and I think it's really important that the township supports AORs in this effort. They're certainly the right body to be working with the ministry, and hopefully we can in that effort that they can resolve some of these issues, or at least draw some attention to it. Maybe get some more assistance from the OPP. I don't know what the answer is, but it's certainly something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Anything else from council? Yeah, I agree 100%. It's a good thing to support, and maybe our director, Jim Borton, can maybe have 2 cents worth to people that he knows along the way as well, and pass something on with this as well. So thank you very much. Anything else? Nope.
All those in favor?
Yep, all those in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and our next one, another good news story, is our Drumbo Beautification Committee. This was a last-minute thing that everybody got a copy on the table. It's good to see that we have good community support. That you recall, I think it was about a month ago, they came forward asking for to put benches in our park, and they have sold 2 more, I believe, as well, so it's to add a couple more benches. So that's a good news story, and I think they're asking for us to put more cement, if I believe rightly. I read it very quickly. I think they want us to pour another pad, so is council okay with that? Okay, I don't see any issues. No?
It's a relatively low cost,
Yeah.
I think, to do that.
Well, especially when we're doing it already.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're already going to
Yeah.
be there. Right?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that the correspondence from the Drumbo Beautification Committee requesting 1 additional concrete pad for bench installation be received as information, and that council approves the Drumbo Beautification Committee request as presented, and further, that the costs associated with the concrete pads be funded through existing operating budgets.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, thank you. Next is general correspondence for the Upper Thames Conservation Authority as well.
Be it hereby resolved that the general correspondence item be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Demers. Any comments on it all? All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, we'll get into our staff reports, and our first one is our Director of Public Works, Jim Borton. Welcome, Jim.
Afternoon, Council. My first report is the results from the 2026 gravel tender. So every year we do approximately 70 kilometers of our 210 kilometer road network. This year we added some approval from the budget, some capital work to get a better pricing. This tender was run through bids and tender, which we have done for the last few years. We've been getting good results, and this year was no different. Summit Aggregate was the low bid. We did use them in 2024. No issues at all. I have been out to their pit to look at their material. When we had them in 2024, they delivered the 2,000 ton a day that we specify in the tender. No issue with that being done again for the 2026, as well as the gravel source. We will be using the same pit that we used in 2024, so no issue with that gravel. We did have 300,000 in our operating budget and 100,000 in the capital. So combining the capital work and the operation, we will be seeing a savings of about $13,000.
Okay, any questions on that at all? No, not seeing any? Okay, go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2605 be received as information, and further, that council accepts the tender submitted by Summit Aggregates KW Incorporated for the supply, crushing, and placement of approximately 22,000 22,000, no, 22,000.
2,000
22,000
tons.
tons of granular A at a unit price of $15.48 per ton, and approximately 3,000 tons of granular B at a unit price of $15.48 per ton.
Anybody want that read again? I'm sure she'd love to. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Banbury. Any comments on that? I'll just make one quickly. I know I did research every year I tend to research the company now. I think they were bought out by, I can't remember, was it Quikrete or? They were bought out by somebody, anyway, I can't remember the name.
Yep, so they were just bought out by, oh, no, I just had it and lost it. Miller Paving.
Yeah.
They also have a pit up on Oxford-Waterloo Road within the township. We have been assured that any contracts that Summit had agreed to before would be honored. And it is the same salesperson and the same pit that we are dealing with for this contract, so there's no issues there.
And I know when I looked at the comments from people, it was rated, I think it was like 4.8 out of 5 stars. I think there was one somebody gave them a 4 out of 5 and said they were great, so I'm not sure why they did that, but just kind of reassure council that everybody actually said how great a company were to get, and so hopefully that works out great. Okay, that's, anything else?
Yeah,
Councillor Barnes.
with the gravel this year, with the new gravel that's getting put down, are we gonna have the shoulders taken off on roads?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as we can get on them, there's still some frost in them right now. So as soon as that frost comes out, we're gonna start removing the shoulders before the new gravel goes on.
Okay, perfect. Because you kind of have a limited window at that, you know that as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay. And your next one.
Okay, my next one is my monthly report. So we'll start with the Capital Works, Phase 4. Cassidy Construction will be back in Princeton come April. Looking to finish all of the driveways, sod. They've talked to their sod contractor. They are anxious to get in once the dries up. They can start putting topsoil and sod down. The asphalt plants, unfortunately don't open until May, typically May 1st, but they will be on site prepping with the gravel, making it easier for residents to get in and out of their driveways, so that when May 1st comes, they will be first on the list to get the driveways completed that didn't get completed in 2025. That leads me into Phase 5 of the Princeton. So this will be the final phase. Excuse me. This is the top lift asphalt and any of the curb work that hasn't been finished. Typically around a catch basin has just been asphalted. Those catch basins will be raised up to the top lift asphalt and the concrete finished around them. So that'll all be included as well. Council will be happy to know that in conjunction with the county, we added the pedestrian crossing in this contract to ensure that we didn't get the top lift of asphalt down and then they decided to come through and dig a big hole and put the piping up. So by adding it to the contract, it ensures that that will be done and installed before the top lift of asphalt gets put down. Bridge 24, we're still working to get all the environmental done. We are close. We're just waiting for a last report back from our Indigenous partners to ensure that they agree with the last report that is submitted. Drawings are ready to go. So once we have this approval from our Indigenous partners, we can close this EA, get the tender out with hopefully a start date of July 1st. Now with the in-water work, GRCA will not allow us to do anything before July 1st, but we are hoping to have everything in place so that the contractor is ready to start July the 1st. Bridge 23, so this is the bridge just south of the Fear Farm on Blenheim Road. Council will remember I brought the results of the contract to them. We had our pre-construction meeting. He will be starting probably the end of April. Right now, he's waiting confirmation from his supplier for the expansion joints. The drawings have been submitted. Now it's just a matter of a date when they'll be manufactured and ready to go. He doesn't want to start, not have the, and stop. So this will be a complete process, and he figures the whole thing should take 6 to 8 weeks. So a little bit shorter than the working days in the contract, which is great for us. As far as AORs goes, if I could add to the motion that was previously passed, I did add with my package 4 delegations that I was involved with AORs down at Good Roads earlier this week. They were well received, especially the motion that was just passed. We will be supplying both the Ministry of Transportation, the Liberal Caucus, and the MTO more data-based results. One of the biggest questions that we got was, is this a geographical problem? We assured them that no, this was a Ontario-wide problem. So we will be supplying the more. The more that we get this, the motions like this, the more information they hear, the more delegations that we can do, certainly improves, brings it to the forefront and gets those changes required. One of the things that we looked at that we're hoping will lead to good things is the province of Manitoba just passed legislation very similar to what the fire department and police have, basically a keep back from a snowplow policy. So essentially what it does is anything under an 80-kilometer road and under, you would have to stay back 50 meters. Anything 80 kilometers and above, you would have to stay back 100 meters. So it gives the drivers some protection. A lot of times what happens and where some of the frustration comes from, staff will be out plowing, round a corner, car or a truck sneaks up right behind them. They need to back up to get around that corner. Now that car's thinking that you're going to run into them. They're honking their horn. With this legislation, they won't be able to get within that 50 meters. Or if they do, it puts the onus on that vehicle driver and not on the snowplow driver. Right now, because it's looked at as a backing up accident, it's usually the snowplow driver if any charges are laid. So since the province of Manitoba has passed it, we're again echoing, trying to get that for the province of Ontario to pass as well. The other big one on my monthly is, of course, the gravel road maintenance. It has been a very tough winter with the freeze-thaw cycles. The gravel roads definitely have taken their toll. I think I will remind council that this was an extreme winter. These conditions, of course, were very extreme. I've been working with our communication specialist, Kevin, to get some information out there on when we can grade, how much we do. I am happy to report that we have been over the majority, not all of them yet. We're still working on that, but we are working on it. As I previously mentioned, there are still frost in the ground, so it doesn't help because right now the sides of our roads are higher. So when we are grading, we're spreading down the center. If we do get a rain in between, that water sits there. Unfortunately, tires go over top of it, stir it up, creates those holes again. So it will be an ongoing process, but we are definitely working on it. Whenever we can get the graders out, they are being out.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything from council at all? Nope, I'm not seeing anything. Just one note I wrote down was that Bridge 23 that's by Schneider's, I don't think it's going to affect them a huge amount at that time frame, but can we make sure that somebody communicates to Schneider's Family Farm that this is our plan, that road will be closed from roughly here to there, just so they have it on, they may share it on their website or whatever, because I know they do have some functions during that time frame, but at least it won't be a shock to them like the main road was last time, so.
Yep, for sure. Once I get those dates from the contractor, I
Yeah.
can share that when it's going to be closed and
Perfect.
its approximate opening time.
Okay, thank you. Anything from council? Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report PW 2606 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Banbury, second by Councillor Young. Any comments? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Just a comment I just thought about we were doing there too is they did patch the railway tracks in Princeton. I'm not really sure whether, I hope that sure isn't going to be their permanent fix. I know I did get an email saying that they were going to come out and repair it by the end of April. So I'm hoping that this is the temporary fix, because honest with you, I don't know why they even did what they did, because it did absolutely nothing as far as I'm concerned. So I am going to follow up with that unless you have information.
I was just going to say, Councillor Banbury and I were talking this morning at the conference, so perhaps he can add some insight.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was talking to two
my friend.
reps from the CN. I was going to bring my CN hat, but I forgot. Anyway, they both promised that it would be done by the end of April, maybe even early April, but
Okay.
it all depended on conditions. Obviously, they couldn't do it during the winter time, the weather, the frozen and so on. I think they did mention they were out there and put in a bit of patchwork, but it's not holding, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, he even showed me the email that he sent the county that they were,
Okay.
I said, I'm gonna hold you to this.
Yeah, well, they did tell us it was going to be done by the end of November too. I
Well,
did,
that's,
I was copied on that email, and it said that they were coming out by the end of April, and then they came and did that patchwork, and I'm like, I hope that's not the job they're doing, because it really didn't do much at all, if
coming
anything.
along on the train, I noticed that maybe you were on the other side of the train coming home, they have ties, like brand new ties.
Yeah.
Spring of all along the north side of the
Yeah.
track, so are they gonna be doing some major track work along there, I wonder?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason we got delayed today. We had to switch tracks after a cargo train went by, so it looks like they definitely are doing some work all
Yeah.
along that corridor.
They come in, actually the day before they did the patchwork, because I had a few residents message me, hey, I think they're fixing the tracks. So, anyway, just thought I'd add that to you, I forgot.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next is Trevor Barrett, Manager, Community Services. Welcome, Trevor.
Here to do the monthly report for the community services. March was a busy month in the arena. A lot of groups are shutting down for the season. Plaza Minor Hockey had their Little Brave tournament. Plaza Figure Skating held their skating show. And there were some other minor hockey wrap-ups as well. So the ice is now shut off. It'll be going out tomorrow for the season. So we're trying to shift into the parks, make sure they're open. Our open date is May 1st. That'll be the washrooms and garbage receptacles and everything ready to go in the parks. Kind of our target date. We will have other things going on before then, but our target date's May 1st, and then June 1st for the splash pads. And we'll be working with Kevin, the coordinator, communication coordinator, to put that on Facebook as well, and make sure the public knows what's going on there. So. We're working with groups to develop our ice allocation policy. We're going to meet with the user groups and discuss it, go through that. And we have a meeting next Thursday with that, with the user groups. And that'll be coming to council at some point to adopt the policy. And staff will be going into the cemeteries and the parks next week to start our outside work.
Okay. Anything from council at all on that report? No? Nice to see the weather coming to get rid of the old stuff. Go ahead.
Be it hereby resolved that report CS 2607 be received as information.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Barnes. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that's carried. Okay, and next is Denise, our Director of Finance. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you. So this is the annual development charges report. It's legislated through the Development Charges Act. The annual report provides an overview of development-related growth and financial performance of the township's DC program. It outlines DC collections, reserve fund balances, and expenditures, ensuring transparency and accountability. So there's 2 reports attached, one indicating the balances of the reserves, what was collected. The other report is in regards to capital that DCs were used on and other methods of funding of those projects. Council has any questions?
Okay, any questions on the report? No, seems kind of ironic. This report might not mean anything with what came down from the province and the federal, so we'll see what comes next. Okay, anything? Can I get moving? Sorry, go ahead, read the resolution.
Be it hereby resolved that report TR 2605 be received as information, and further, that the development charges reports are posted on the website for public information.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder now, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. Any comments at all? All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. Thank you, Denise. Okay, we're into reports from council members. I have a list here of ones, if you want me to read it, and then if you think of anything else, you can let me know. Thank you, Trevor, for giving me, I'm always asking him dates and times for some things, so he gave me a list of everything to read. So if there's anything missed, please add. So Plattsville has an Easter scavenger hunt at 1 p.m. at Plattsville Park. Drumbo has an Easter egg hunt April 4th, starts at 10 a.m. at Drumbo Park. The Drumbo Lions also have a coloring contest. You can pick up it at Tito's, the coloring papers, Tito's in Drumbo, Drumbo Pharmacy, Morals of Drumbo, and they're due April 2nd, which is tomorrow. And Bright is having an Easter egg hunt at the Bright Fire Hall, April 4th, starting at 11:15, different age groups for different times. I believe the youngest start soon, I think, and then they move on up. The Drumbo Lions auction is this Friday, April 3rd, and e-waste and metal drop-off starts tomorrow. And I think it goes Thursday, Friday, and Saturday till noon. And the Plattsville Home and School Bingo, April 18th at the Plattsville Arena, starts at 8 p.m. And just one thing, and I'm going to ask Trevor what the times are for this too, but I believe starting next week on this, I think it's the 7th, they're having an exercise program in Plattsville. I think it's the 7th, and it's from 1 to 2. Okay, 1 to 2, and it's for 55 and above. Okay. And it's in the Lions Hall right upstairs. I don't think you have to register for that, though, do you? I didn't see anything online. So now that I'm over 55, I may just join that, now that there's no skating there. That's all I can think of right now. I don't know if anybody has anything else.
I got one more.
Councillor Demers.
Yes, on April 8th, ROEDC is hosting a Rural Downtown Project Forum in Pottsville, 66 Albert Street, from 5 to 7. We're asking, this is the first phase of a multi-phase project. We're asking for businesses across rural Oxford County, but particularly in this area, for feedback on barriers and opportunities to establish and sustaining storefronts in our villages. It's something that came up through our strategic planning, an issue that we'd like to address, get some more information on. What are some of the potential business owners and current business owners, what kind of obstacles are they facing? This is the first phase, so it's a research phase, and we're hoping that from out of this feedback, we'll be able to establish some action items and some goals. So yeah, that's April 8th from 5 to 7, 66 Albert Street in Pottsville. If you know anybody that has a business, maybe encourage them to attend. Yeah.
Can I just a quick question about that? Because
Yeah.
I saw that. I think that's awesome. I think it's a really great opportunity. Do you know if ROEDC will be specifically sending that to businesses? That information, other than social media, like to advertise that event, or?
I am not. I don't know 100%. Typically, they would reach out directly.
Yeah.
We have email lists and stuff like that too, but I'm not 100% sure.
Because I hope that it's well attended.
Yeah, I
have
hope so
that
too. We
same-
really need, we
Yeah.
really need some information.
Yeah, to see moving. I did see there's a sign in Plattsville for a new business.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, so
Saw
that's
that.
really exciting. I'm not sure when, but,
Yep.
sorry, I just wanted to add, maybe you want to mention your mayor's breakfast.
I was just trying to find in my calendar what day that.
Our next
The
council meeting is the 15th.
Yes,
that morning.
okay. Yeah, there's mayor breakfast. It's going to be myself. It's Mayor Marcus Ryan and Mayor Bill Schaefer. And it's going to be at the, what is it again? Quails, yes, I can never remember the name. Quails in Tavistock. It's going to be sort of a fireside lunch or breakfast, and it's going to be questions coming through. If anybody wants to buy tickets for that, I think it's a limited number of 60, I believe. I'm not sure where the contact information is, but it's with the ROEDC, I believe. So I think if you go on their site, you can get it, unless Councillor Demers maybe can expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, I want to say it's the chamber, but we're involved in distributing.
Yes, it's the Tavistock. Go ahead.
Just if I may, Mr. Mayor, if any members of council are looking to attend, perhaps you could just let the clerk or myself know, and we can take care of arranging those tickets on your behalf.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's under the Tavistock Business Chamber, right?
Yeah, chamber.
I believe.
Yep.
Chamber, yeah, okay. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. Hopefully it doesn't get too wild and exciting, but I've always had the gift of gab, so I'm sure I'll be just about fine with that. So I see a few laughs out there. Okay, anything else from council at all? Nothing? Okay, any unfinished business? Not seeing any. And I'm going to leave the chair because I have a notice of motion to come up, and I'll have our deputy mayor, Councillor Young, come up.
Oh, this is a really much more comfortable seat. Okay, I believe Mayor Peterson has a notice of motion.
Okay. Whereas the Township of Blandford-Blenheim maintains an extensive network of gravel roads that are critical to the movement of residents, agriculture operations, and local businesses, and whereas the 2026 season has presented particular challenges with respect to gravel road maintenance, including end-of-season conditions that have resulted in concern from residents regarding road quality and service levels, and whereas council recognizes the importance of maintaining safe and reliable gravel road infrastructure while balancing financial sustainability and operational capacity. Now therefore be it resolved that council acknowledges the operational challenges experienced during the 2026 gravel road maintenance season, and that staff be directed to prepare a report for council's consideration that assesses the operational financial implications of transitioning from a current 3-year gravel application cycle to a 2-year cycle, identifies the anticipated benefits, risks, and service level impacts associated with such a transition, explores alternative approaches or enhancements to the township gravel road maintenance program, including practices, materials, or scheduling adjustments that may improve overall road conditions, and provides recommendations including associated budgetary impacts for council's consideration, ensuring that any proposed changes are financially feasible and align with the township long-term asset management activities, and further, that staff report back to council within the 2027 budget deliberations or at such earlier times as deemed appropriate.
Okay, so that motion has been moved and will be discussed at a following meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. And we are on to, did I leave my pen over there? Yeah, thank you. Okay, we're here. Okay, and now no new business from anybody? Okay, and we'll be going into closed session.
Be it hereby resolved that council does now adjourn from open session and move into closed session at 5:44 PM. The report is closed to the public pursuant to Section 239 of the Municipal Act as amended, as the subject matter is regarding advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Section 239-2F regarding CAO 2611, legal advice, land transfer.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Young, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any? And that's carried. And if anybody wants to take, let's take 2 or So that one here.
This
Right here.
bylaw was added.
Right, so we'll go into, we're live, okay, so we'll go into bylaws.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be read a first and second time. A, bylaw 2541-2026, being a bylaw to provide for an interim levy the actual cost of the work of the construction of Phase 4 of the Princeton Drainage System 2022 project as provided for in bylaw 2312-2022, actual cost bylaw interim levy number 3. And B, bylaw 2542-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council.
Okay, can I get a mover and seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Barnes, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. Okay, and your third.
Be it hereby resolved that the following bylaws be read a third and final time. Bylaw 2541-2026, being a bylaw to provide for an interim levy of the actual cost of the work of the construction of Phase 4 of the Princeton Drainage System 2022 project as provided for in bylaw 2312-2022, actual cost bylaw, interim levy number 3. B, bylaw 2542-2026, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council. And C, bylaw 2529-2026, being a bylaw to govern the operation of the municipal cemeteries under the jurisdiction of the township, and in particular governing rights, entitlements, and restrictions with respect to interment rights in accordance with the Funeral, Burial, and Cremation Services Act 2002, and being a bylaw to repeal bylaw number 1727, 2012.
And just for clarity, in case you didn't hear that, last bylaw, the one for the cemeteries, we read the first and second reading of it back in January, so we're just reading the third now.
It was approved by the
Right.
Bereavement Authority of Ontario.
Okay.
So we're doing the third and final.
Yeah, so mover and seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Banbury. All in favor? And opposed, if any, and that's carried. And anything under other at all? Not seeing any, and adjournment to the next meeting.
Whereas business before council has been completed at 6:02 p.m., be it hereby resolved that council adjourn to meet again on Wednesday, April 15th, 2026 at 4 p.m.
Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Moved by Councillor Demers, second by Councillor Young. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Thank you, council.